Hi, welcome back to my channel. And today we're going to talk about why do black men leave black women and start to date outside of their race? Do all black men do this? Or is it just this black man? Are more and more black men trying to date other cultures, other races? Let's find out.
Dudes that I know who date outside their race, outside of our black race, were looked at as lames in the black community.
Yeah.
It wasn't a situation where it's like, okay, now I grew up aspiring to be with a white woman. What the story is typically I grew up, I was in my black neighborhood, I didn't fit in, the women didn't want me, I would shoot my shot and they would curve me over and over and over again. But then when I went to talk to this white girl, she was vibing with me and we just picked it up and then went from there. So now I date white women now. But it's not a situation where it's like, oh no, I was bred, I was taught since young, and oh no, I want to be the white woman. Black woman, hell no, I'm good. Now, when the same dude, that nerd who was lame in the neighborhood, you wasn't given no opportunity. Hell no, I don't want to go on no date. Just get away from me. Da, da, da. The same dude 15 years later is a multimillionaire. And now he's dating a white woman and you looking at him like, oh, it's sold out.
What he's saying, I have to agree with, and I'm going to give a little bit more essence to it. Remember, okay, we in the black community, unfortunately, a lot of times we do not appreciate differences from the stereotypical energy of black people. For instance, we push, music. We think that, black people need to know how to dance. Black people, should be able to sing. They should be able to rap. They should do something in music. We think a lot of times that black people can do really great in sports, so we really push sports. We have other things that, we think, about us as a culture in general. However, okay, most black people don't act like that. See, that might be 40-50% of black people, but there are other black people that don't really do that kind of stuff. And a lot of times when a black person is not doing those types of things, they are kind of shunned. They just don't get the love that they should get. And when you're saying something like he brought up the whole thing about being a nerd, is that if you are dealing with one nerd out of 10, I don't know how many the percentage is in the black community. I'm just, like I say, using a random term here. But if you say one guy out of 10, and it's probably one woman out of 10, that becomes very difficult for the two to find each other. And then on top of that, they still have to be attracted to each other. So it turns into this issue where it's kind of like, how do I find my person within the black community? There was a lady that actually came to CSC, Christian Singles Connect. That's my group for all the new people. And she was one of these type of people, but it was a woman, not a man. And she actually thought that she was going to have to date white men because she could not find black men that were intelligent and on her level. So the very first thing I asked her was, okay, where are you going to meet these black men? And she told me that she primarily goes to clubs and lounges. Then I basically explained to her that intelligent men don't really hang out in clubs and lounges. There might be a few there, but that's not really where they're at. So I'm like, why are you going there? And she was basically like, well, my friends like to go there. And they always tell me that, I just want too much and I'm asking for, just way too much from these guys. And that I just need to, bring down my expectations. So I told her, I said, well, let's really think about this. I said, first of all, like I say, intelligent men, like I say, they might come through, but they're not hanging out in these places. I said, more than likely, an intelligent guy, he's going to be at a conference. He might, be at a museum. He's going to be someplace where he is trying to become more intelligent, because that's what intelligent people do. They get around things so they can become more intelligent. That is how they enjoy living life. So I was like, what you have to do is you have to get around those types of men, and you have to go to those types of places to get those types of men. Now, when you are growing up, as the gentleman said before, you really can't do that. Ages 12 to 18 is not much you can do. But once you get into your 20s and 30s, it's a little bit easier to try to get yourself into certain positions. So with this particular lady, she actually did go to these, places, and she was able to find her someone. But see, that is really where, we kind of have to understand. We as Black people have to stop putting everybody into one container. And it's the same thing really with any culture. You can't put everybody into one container. Not every Puerto Rican acts like Puerto Ricans. In fact, the very first Puerto Rican I ever ran into could not speak Spanish because her mother did not want her speaking Spanish. Now, that was on them. On why? Don't ask me. I don't know about it. But she did teach herself Spanish when she got into her 20s. But growing up, she did not speak Spanish. So you're thinking, wow, Puerto Rican that does speak. It doesn't matter what we think. She's different, and it's okay for her to be different. I have run into people in all races and cultures that have felt like they did not fit in with their race/culture. And what we have to do is be more inclusive. Now, I'm not against interracial relationships. I don't care if you marry outside of your race. I don't care if you marry outside of your culture. But one of the things that I'm always telling people is that there are Black men that are intellectual. There are Black men, that want to travel. There are Black men that do everything that another race does. And there are Asian men that do these things. And there are Indian men that do these things. And there are Latino men that do these things. But see, we live, even if we're in a race many times or in a culture, we believe everybody in this culture is like us because we have our own prejudices against ourselves. And I feel his pain, a little bit because, I've seen it and I've even gone through a little bit of that myself. But I've always been able to navigate and find other Black people with the same ideals and the same belief systems. And I think with him, he might have not been able to find that. And I believe that when Black men, a lot of times educated lames, like I brought up that before, because there are people on YouTube that will talk about men that are educated lames. Well, let me tell you, ladies, something about educated lames. Almost all of my friends will be considered educated lames. And like he said, most of my friends now are doing very well. They live in nice big houses. One of my friends actually worked right under Barack Obama. These people are doing big things because Pooky and Ray Ray don't really do much besides make more babies. That's all really Pooky and Ray Ray do. They just make more Pooky and Ray Rays and some LaShawns and some Lakeishas. That's about all Pooky and Ray Ray do. Okay, but these educated lames are the ones who become your politicians. They're the ones who become your business owners. They're the ones who basically take over the world. But I do believe that in the Black community, we have a problem in worshiping Pooky and Ray Ray because we worship them by buying their music. We worship them by buying/watching their movies. And then when we are following them on social media, and we believe that it's all okay. Oh, it's just funny. I just like him because he's funny. Man, this dude right here, he's so funny. He cool. Yeah, my joint right here, boy. He just. And we're not really allowing ourselves to rise up. And then we wonder why so many women are attracted to Pooky and Ray Ray when we practically as a culture worship Pooky and Ray Ray. Anywho, I have no problems with anybody dating outside their race. I believe that a lot of Black women as well. Again, it doesn't get publicized as much, but there are more and more Black women trying to date outside the race. But I've always said, especially if you're over 25, you can find that person within your own culture. But what you need to think about and remember is that you have to look differently and you have to accept the person in your own culture that is different, right? It's totally different. Like I've run into, because, a lot of you may know that my background is film. So I've done a lot with movies and different things like that. And I've run into, because there's a huge influx of anime right now. in America. And I run into women that are so into anime, Black women that are so into anime. I mean, they dress like the characters. They know what the characters are. They're so into Japanese culture that they walk, talk, dress, have learned Japanese. And these are Black women. And many of these Black women say the same thing that this gentleman is saying, that nobody wants me, that nobody likes me, because in the Black culture, I don't get love. And what's sad to me is I need him to find them so that they can be together, where neither one of them will look down upon the other and will be excited and recognize, wow, there's all this wonderful diversity and I can still have some of what I want. Now, again, I'm not against interracial relationships. This is not me going against interracial relationships. But what I'm trying to make sure people understand is that there are people out here just like you. And if you want somebody, they're out here. You just need to get into the spaces where those people are going to hang out. Anyway, please like and subscribe. Subscribe. And I'm going to see you all in the very next video.